Have you ever noticed that the older we get, the more we realize something most people never say out loud? That family, while deeply important, isn't always the safety net we thought it would be. When we're young, it feels like a given. We imagine our children will always stay nearby, that siblings will stay close, that our spouse will age alongside us, hand in hand. It's a comforting belief. But real life? It doesn't always work like that. Let me tell you about someone I knew. His name was Walter. He was a high school principal, retired at 65, full of plans with his wife Marianne. But just 6 months into retirement, Marianne passed away suddenly. His only daughter lived across the country, and Walter, once surrounded by students, teachers, friends, was suddenly alone in a quiet house. No one calling daily, no dinners to cook for two, just silence. And here's the thing, Walter is not alone in that experience. Studies show that millions of people over 60 are now living alone, and many more feel emotionally alone, even if someone shares their roof. So what do we do with that truth? We prepare, we strengthen, we build something inside ourselves that doesn't crumble when people drift away, when calls go unanswered, when the support we hoped for never arrives. That's why I created something I call my 6P system, my 6-pillar operating system for a joyful, independent life after 60. These 6 pillars have nothing to do with who stays and who leaves. They're about you, your health, your peace of mind, your growth, your joy, your resilience. And the last one, the 6th pillar, it's the anchor, the one everything else leans on. I'll save that one for the very end. So stay with me, and I promise these next few minutes might just change the way you think about aging. You're not alone, and you don't have to feel alone either. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments, which pillar do you think matters most in life after 60? If you find this video helpful, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to Life Advice for You. Let's build a community where no one grows old unprepared. Let's begin with number 1, physical health. Let me tell you something I've come to believe deeply. Your body is your very first home. And just like any home, if we want it to keep us safe, comfortable, and capable as we age, we have to take care of it. After 60, many of us start to feel the quiet but undeniable changes. The stairs feel steeper. The jars feel harder to open. A simple walk leaves us winded. And yet, so often we convince ourselves this is just what aging is supposed to look like. But is it? The truth is, after 60, the body begins to change more rapidly if we don't actively work to support it. Muscle mass starts to decline at an alarming rate, a condition known as sarcopenia. Our bones lose density, our joints stiffen, and our heart, once strong and steady, can begin to struggle if we let inactivity take over. The worst part? Many people still believe that moving less is safer. I'm too old for exercise, they say. Or, I take walks every now and then, that's enough. But walking, while wonderful, is not the whole picture, especially if we're trying to keep our strength, balance, and independence. I want to share the story of someone I admire. Her name is Diane. She's 68 now. A few years ago, she found herself avoiding stairs altogether. She would take the elevator, even for one flight. Her legs felt weak, and she was terrified of falling. I guess this is just old age, she told herself. But one day, after nearly slipping in her own home, Diane decided she had to make a change. Not for vanity, not to run marathons, just to feel safe again in her own body. She started a simple resistance training routine at home. No gym, no heavy weights, just gentle, guided movements with resistance bands and her own body weight. Within 3 months, she could go up and down the stairs without holding on to the railing. And that spark of confidence? It returned to her face like sunshine after a long winter. It's important to understand this. Strength after 60 doesn't stick around on its own. It's not something we get to keep unless we earn it, daily. The good news is, you don't need hours in a gym to start rebuilding. Just 3 basic movements. A gentle squat to strengthen your thighs, a wall push-up for your upper body, and a seated leg lift for balance, done consistently, can awaken muscles you thought you'd lost for good. But movement is just one piece of the puzzle. Nutrition is its silent partner. After 60, your body needs more support to maintain muscle and bone. That means high-quality protein like whey, healthy fats like omega-3s, and vitamin D for bone strength and immune health. These aren't trendy supplements, they are essentials. Many seniors unknowingly eat too little protein or skip meals altogether, thinking they're not that hungry. But your body is hungry for the right building blocks to keep you upright, active, and independent. And here's the deeper lesson I want you to take with you. Your health after 60 is not a given. It's a habit. It's built choice by choice, day by day. You don't have to do it all at once. You just have to begin. Whether it's one more stretch in the morning, one more protein-rich meal a day, or saying yes to strengthening exercises instead of sitting it out, each decision matters. You're not just maintaining your body, you're reclaiming your home. And if no one else has told you this today, let me say it now. You are worth the effort. Your future self will thank you for every step you take today toward a stronger, steadier tomorrow. 2. Mental flexibility. There's a quiet truth about aging that no one tells us when we're young. It's not just our bodies that stiffen with time. Our minds can too. But here's the powerful secret. They don't have to. The most youthful people I know in their 70s and 80s all have one trait in common. It's not perfect health. It's not money. It's not even having their family close. It's mental flexibility. That incredible ability to stay curious, open, and willing to adapt. Mental flexibility is like oil for the gears of the brain. It's what keeps us sharp, creative, and emotionally balanced as we grow older. In fact, multiple studies, including one from the University of Toronto, have shown that seniors who continuously engage in learning new skills and adapting to change experience significantly lower risks of cognitive decline and dementia. It's not magic, it's neuroplasticity. Your brain is designed to keep growing, even at 80 or 90, if you feed it the right challenges. But so often I hear people say, I'm too old to learn this, especially when it comes to technology. They freeze up at the idea of smartphones, apps, or social media, as if they've missed the train forever. But that belief, more than age itself, is what holds them back. Let me tell you about someone who inspired me deeply. Her name is Grace, and she's 72. For most of her life, Grace was a phenomenal home cook, known in her neighborhood for her warm, fragrant kitchen. But she never touched a computer. After her husband passed away and her grandchildren moved away, Grace felt the silence in her home more than ever. One day, determined to feel closer to them, she asked her son to show her how to make a video call. That one brave act turned into something beautiful. Not only did Grace learn to video chat, she also started watching cooking videos on YouTube. Then, get this, she started her own channel. Just a small one. Nothing fancy. But she shares recipes, kitchen tips, and stories from her life. And now, every week, she connects with strangers and family alike, all because she was willing to try something new. That's the heart of it. When you stay curious, you don't just survive, you connect. You thrive. You bring new energy into your life, one skill, one challenge, one question at a time. You don't need to master everything. You don't need to be fast, you just need to be open. Start small. Maybe this month, you learn how to use the camera on your phone. Next month, try a new recipe from another culture. The month after, pick up a simple musical instrument. Or just take 15 minutes a day to read about something you've never explored. Space, the brain, how birds migrate. Your brain doesn't care what you learn. It only cares that you keep learning. And you might be surprised at how much joy it brings you. The moment you stop saying, I can't, and start saying, let's see, you reclaim something very precious. Your youthful spirit. So let me ask you this. What's one new thing you've always wanted to learn, but told yourself it was too late? Comment below and share it with us. Let's inspire each other. Maybe you'll start today. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. 3. Passion and purpose. What really happens when the job ends? When the meetings stop, the alarm clocks are silenced, and the briefcases gather dust? For many people, retirement is painted as a reward, a time to finally rest, to enjoy life without the pressure of work. But here's a deeper truth that often catches people by surprise. Freedom without purpose can feel more like a prison than a paradise. After decades of schedules and responsibilities, the sudden stillness of retirement can be disorienting. At first, there's relief. Finally, time to sleep in, read, relax. But weeks pass, and something unexpected begins to creep in. A quiet sense of emptiness. It's not always dramatic. It might show up as a lack of motivation to get out of bed or a dullness in the day, even when there's nothing particularly wrong. For many, this is the onset of a low-grade depression that often goes undetected. According to the National Institute on Aging, older adults are at greater risk of depression, especially during major life transitions like retirement, not because they lack activity, but because they lack meaning. This is where we have to make a crucial distinction. Being busy is not the same as being fulfilled. You can fill your calendar and still feel hollow inside if none of those tasks light a spark in you. What makes the difference is passion. Having something you care about so deeply, it gives your days structure, your actions significance, and your heart a reason to keep expanding. And no, passion doesn't retire when you do. In fact, for many people, retirement is when passion finally has room to breathe. I met someone recently who reminded me of this so clearly. His name is James, a 66-year-old former accountant who spent most of his life crunching numbers and managing other people's finances. When he retired, he said he was excited, but within 3 months, he found himself restless and even anxious. Then one day, while cleaning out his garage, he found his late father's old wood carving tools. On a whim, James started tinkering with scraps of wood in the evenings. One carved spoon turned into a set of kitchen utensils. Then came cutting boards, small sculptures. He began gifting them to friends. Before long, he joined a local craft fair. Not only did he rediscover a hobby, but he also rediscovered himself. His hands were alive again. His mind was sharp. He was even mentoring his teenage grandson, who now wants to start his own small Etsy shop. James hadn't just found a pastime, he had reignited his purpose. The key is realizing that retirement isn't the end of your development. It's the beginning of a new kind. The passions we tucked away in our younger years, writing, gardening, teaching, painting, volunteering, these are not lost. They've just been waiting patiently for us to return. And if you feel like you've forgotten what once brought you joy, that's okay. Passion can be rediscovered, step by step. Start by reflecting on what made you feel alive as a child or in your early years. Often, your truest interests leave traces there. Try one new thing a week. Join a class, visit a museum, volunteer at a school, write one page of your life story. These small explorations add up, and soon they stop being just something to do and start becoming the reason you look forward to tomorrow. Because here's the truth. When you live with passion, age stops being a limitation. It becomes your fuel. You bring to your pursuits not just energy, but wisdom, depth, patience, and compassion. You become a living example to others that it's never too late, not to start, not to dream, not to matter. And in a world that often forgets to value older voices, that kind of purpose is not just powerful, it's revolutionary. 4. Prosperity and financial security. What does it truly mean to be wealthy after 60? That question has a very different answer than it did when we were younger. In our working years, we were often taught to chase more income, more investments, more things. But as the seasons of life shift, so too must our definition of wealth. Because the older we get, the clearer it becomes that real wealth is not measured by what we accumulate, but by how little we need to feel at peace. After 60, the focus of financial life transforms. It's no longer about maximizing earnings, it's about creating stability, simplicity, and space for what matters most. You begin to realize that freedom doesn't come from buying more, but from needing less. And yet, so many fall into the trap of trying to maintain the same lifestyle they had during their peak earning years. They continue to spend as if the income will always be there, often unaware of how quickly small habits can erode their sense of security. It's not always reckless spending. It might be expensive subscriptions they no longer use, a home that's too large and costly to maintain, or simply not having a plan in place for rising medical costs. One of the most common and dangerous financial oversights among older adults is the absence of an emergency fund for health. Medical expenses become one of the largest categories of spending in retirement, and yet many are unprepared when a health crisis hits. The stress of unplanned expenses can weigh heavily, not just on your wallet, but on your emotional well-being. That's why it's not just important to have a budget after 60. It's essential to create what I like to call a budget of peace. This isn't about restriction. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what brings you comfort, security, and joy, and directing your resources there while letting go of the rest. A peaceful financial life is rooted in intentional choices. That might mean downsizing to a smaller home that requires less upkeep. It could involve prioritizing spending on nutritious food, gentle exercise classes, or preventive health care, rather than on material upgrades. It's also about ensuring that your basic needs, housing, food, medication, and a bit of joy, are protected and planned for. And from that foundation, anything extra becomes a blessing, not a necessity. Even in retirement, it's entirely possible to earn money in ways that don't feel like work in the traditional sense. Whether it's turning a hobby into a side income, selling homemade crafts, offering occasional advice based on your years of experience, or even renting a spare room. There are gentle, low-stress ways to supplement your income that also bring a sense of purpose. But the goal isn't to hustle. The goal is to feel secure enough that every dollar earned adds to your peace, not your pressure. As author Joshua Becker once said, the first step in crafting the life you want is to get rid of everything you don't. That includes the financial burdens we carry unnecessarily. Debt, overcommitments, and outdated ideas of what we need to feel successful. Because at this stage in life, success isn't about accumulation. It's about freedom from worry. It's about knowing that your money supports your health, your peace of mind, and your ability to enjoy the simple, quiet pleasures of each day. When you live within your means, with a clear plan and a calm heart, you're not just surviving retirement, you're thriving in it. And there's no greater wealth than that. 5. Spiritual and philosophical strength. What keeps the heart strong when the world feels heavy? What brings us back to center when life, loss, or loneliness throws us off balance? As we grow older, these questions don't just visit us, they stay. And more often than not, the answers aren't found in medicine cabinets or bank accounts. They're found within. That's where spiritual and emotional grounding comes in, not as something mystical or unreachable, but as a quiet strength we can build day by day. Too often, we confuse spirituality with organized religion, but the two are not the same. Spirituality, at its core, is the search for connection, to oneself, to others, to something greater. It's the sense of peace that comes not from control, but from trust. From being able to sit with your thoughts, your feelings, and your life just as it is, and still find meaning. Religion can certainly be a part of that, but spirituality can also be found in nature, in stillness, in poetry, in silence, or even in a simple morning ritual. There's growing scientific evidence that nurturing our inner life can profoundly affect our physical health. Research from Harvard Medical School has shown that people who engage in regular spiritual practices, whether that's meditation, prayer, or reflection, tend to have lower levels of stress, improved cardiovascular function, and even longer lifespans. The body listens to the mind. And when the mind is calm, the body responds. I remember meeting a woman named Esther, who quietly reminded me of this truth. She was 84 and had recently lost her husband of 56 years. Her children lived far away, and most days she spent in the stillness of her own home. At first, she told me, the silence was unbearable. The empty chair across the dining table, the untouched pillow on his side of the bed. But instead of drowning in the loneliness, Esther made a choice. Every morning, she would wake up, light a small candle, and sit quietly for 15 minutes. No phone, no distractions, just her breath, her thoughts, and the gentle rhythm of her heart. She began reading short reflections from Lao Tzu and Marcus Aurelius, and writing one thing each day that she was grateful for, however small. A blooming flower, a kind neighbor, a memory of laughter. Slowly, that silence became her sanctuary. She didn't stop missing her husband, but she stopped feeling lost. That's the quiet power of spiritual grounding. It doesn't erase the pain. It gives us a place to hold it, gently. And anyone can begin, no matter their age or past beliefs. It could be as simple as a gratitude journal, a morning walk where you notice the wind through the trees, or listening to a podcast that makes you reflect on life's deeper meaning. There are countless resources now. Books by wise teachers, guided meditations online, discussion groups that meet virtually, all waiting for us, just a click or a step away. What's important is not how you do it, but that you make space for it. Because as we age, we face not just physical changes, but emotional shifts, grief, solitude, questions about our legacy, our identity, our worth. Without something solid under our feet, these can shake us. But when we cultivate a spiritual foundation, we become steadier. We meet life's changes not with fear, but with grace. There's a quote I love by the author Anne Lamott. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. That's what spiritual practices offer us, a moment to unplug from the noise, the worry, the expectations, and come back to who we really are. So I invite you to reflect. What brings you back to center? What helps you feel calm, whole, connected, even if you're on your own? Share in the comments. Your story may be exactly what someone else needs to read today. 6. True relationships. There's something beautifully invisible that keeps us going as we age. Not medicine, not money, not even exercise. It's connection. Human connection is one of the most powerful, life-extending forces we have, and yet it's the one we often neglect the most after 60. As life slows down, families scatter, and routines shrink, many older adults find themselves growing quietly isolated, not from lack of people, but from a lack of meaningful companionship. And this isn't just a feeling. It's a health hazard. Recent research from Brigham Young University found that chronic loneliness increases the risk of early death by 26%, making it more dangerous than obesity, and even more so than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's not just statistics. That's real life. And it's a powerful reminder that cultivating strong, authentic relationships is not a luxury in our later years. It's a lifeline. But the kind of connection we need isn't measured in Facebook likes or the number of names in a contact list. True companionship, the kind that sustains the heart and soul, comes from having even just 2 or 3 people in your life who know you, who hear you, and who remind you that you're not walking this road alone. I think about a man named Harold who moved to a new city at the age of 71 after losing his wife. For the first year, he barely left the house. He told himself he was fine, but there was a heaviness about him, a kind of quiet retreat from the world. One day, passing by a community center, he saw a flyer for a beginner's dance class. Something about it spoke to him. He hadn't danced since his wedding, but he signed up anyway. Week by week, he returned. Awkward at first, but always smiling. Slowly, he built friendships, not with dozens of people, but with a few regulars who shared the same rhythm, the same laugh, the same willingness to show up. Today, Harold doesn't just dance, he leads a group that meets twice a week. He found movement, yes, but more importantly, he found connection. And it gave him life again. Too often people believe that making new friends after a certain age is impossible. They say, "I'm too old for that," or "I already have my circle." But the truth is, even strong trees need new branches. Friendship doesn't retire, it evolves, and it's never too late to nurture it. Finding companions after 60 takes intention, not luck. It means showing up, to classes, to community events, to volunteer opportunities. It means being willing to share pieces of yourself, your story, your struggles, your joy. It means calling first, even when no one has called you in a while. Because real friendship isn't about being entertained, it's about being seen. And keeping those connections requires care. A quick phone call, a shared cup of coffee, a walk in the park. These simple acts are glue. They remind us, again and again, that we're still part of something larger than ourselves. You don't need a stadium of friends. You need a handful who know how to lift you up when you're feeling low, who remember the names of your grandchildren, who laugh at your stories, even if you've told them twice. Because when you have even one person like that in your life, you stop aging alone. You start living with others. That's not just a better way to age, that's a better way to live. So now you've seen them, the 6 pillars that truly hold you up after 60. Not just hopes, not wishes, not the assumption that someone else will catch you when you fall. These are the supports you build yourself, one choice at a time. Your health, your curiosity, your purpose, your peace, your friendships. And the last one, your belief in your own strength. Because at this stage of life, that's what really matters. Not who promises to be there, but what you've put in place to carry yourself forward with confidence, clarity, and calm. If there's one truth I want you to remember, it's this. You are not powerless just because you've grown older. In fact, now more than ever, you are the architect of your own future. And every step you take toward these 6 pillars is a step toward a life that is fuller, freer, and more grounded, no matter who comes or goes. So take a breath and begin. Pick one pillar today and give it your attention. Just one. That's all it takes to start changing the direction of your story. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 6 pillars feels most urgent in your life right now? And if this video lit a spark in you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep growing stronger together, one pillar at a time. Until next time, take care of your heart, your health, and your hope.